Thank you, Brother. Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Girivaradhari. Thank you. Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Girivaradhari. Jashodanandana Braja Janaranjana. Jashodanandana Braja Janaranjana. Yamunatira Chari. Yamunatira Chari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Jashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana. Jashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana. Jashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana. Jashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana. Yamunatira Chari. Yamunatira Chari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda. Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda. Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda. Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Brinda. Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Brinda. Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda. Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda. Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Brinda. Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Haribol, 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 Nitai Gaura Haribol. Nitai Gauranga Haribol, 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 Nitai Gaura Haribol. Jaya, Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya, Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Bhakti Sidhhanta Saraswati Thakur, Bhakti Sidhhanta Saraswati Thakur, Jaya. Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Bhakti Vedanta Prabhupada, Bhakti Vedanta Srila Prabhupada. Jaya Gurudeva, 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 Jaya Gurudeva. Nitai Gaur Premanande. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramansa Parivrajagacharya Stotrastu Shishimad. His Divine Grace Srila Bhaya Charanarvindam Bhakti Vedanta Swami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Parivrajagacharya Astotrastu Shishimad. His Divine Grace Srila Bhakti Sidhhanta Saraswati Thakur Ki Jai. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Mahapurana Ki Jai. Shri 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 Chaitanya Chaitamrita Ki Jai. Srimad Bhagavad Gita Yatharupa Ki Jai. Shri Shri Radha Kalachanji Ki Jai. Shri Gaura Bhakta Brinda Ki Jai. Nitai Gaur Premanande Hare Hare Bol. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to Shri Shri Guru and Gauranga. All glories to you, Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna. So welcome to today's class on Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur's Vyas Puja Mahatsava Ki Jai. It's also the disappearance festival of Srila Purushottam Das Thakur Ki Jai. So please repeat after me. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Jnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Sri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupaha Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vanchakalpa Turubhascha Kripasandhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhya Vaishnavebhya Namo Namaha. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine. Nirvishesha Shanyavadi Paschati Deshatarine Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Sidhhanta Saraswati Namine Shivarshabhanavi Devi Deitaya Kripabhaye Krishna Sambandha Vijnana Daine Prabhave Namaha Madhurya Jvala Premadhya Shirupanuga Bhaktida Shri Gaura Karuna Shakti Vigrahaya Namostute Namaste Gauravani Shimurte Dinatarine Rupanuga Viruddhapa Sidhhanta Dhvanta Harine Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivas Adigora Bhakta Brinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Jai Srila Bhakti Sidhhanta Saraswati Goswami Thakur ki Jai. Srila Purushottam Das Thakur ki Jai. Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol. So, I'm sure Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur would prefer that I speak first about Srila Purushottam Das Thakur and then about him. So, Srila Purushottam Das Thakur was the 10th of the 12 Gopalas of Lord Nityananda. Lord Nityananda had 12 associates who were known as the Dwadasa Gopal. And as we all know, Lord Nityananda himself, a very playful person. So most of these Gopalas were very playful. But amongst them, Purushottam Das Thakur, the 10th one, was known as the most playful. Very playful Acharya. And he was, in his 4 generations, in his family's 4 generations, all of them eternally perfect direct associates of Lord Gauranga Mahaprabhu. The grandfather's name was Kankshari Sena. Kankshari Sena himself was Gopi Ratnavali in the spiritual Ratnavali Gopi. He came as Kankshari Sena. And then his father's name was Sadashiva Kaviraj. Sadashiv Kaviraj is the Gopi Chandravali. Chandravali Gopi is actually his father in the form of Sadashiv Kaviraj. Himself, Purushottam Das Thakur. And then he had a son whose name was Kanu Thakur. And Kanu Thakur married Lord Nityananda's daughter, Ganga Devi. Like that. Yeah, and I think it was right. I may be wrong there. I'll correct it sooner or later. So Srila Purushottam Das Thakur had 3 principal disciples. Srila Madhavacharya, Srila Yadavacharya, and Srila Devikinandana. They were from Brahmin families. Srila Madhavacharya later became the husband of, it's Madhavacharya, the disciple. Madhavacharya later became the husband of Lord Nityananda Prabhu's daughter, Ganga Devi. We might remember, Mother Ganga Devi is a very, very powerful spiritual master in our lineage, like that. Sri Devikinandan was the author of an important book glorifying the lives of different Vaishnavas. Purushottam Das Thakur's wife's name was Janava. This is different Janava from Lord Nityananda's wife. She passed away just after bearing Purushottam Das Thakur's son, Kanu. Hearing this news, Lord Nityananda went to the house of Purushottam Das Thakur and took his son Kanu with him to his own village called Kadadaha. So Srila Prabhupada speaks very nicely of Srila Purushottam Das Thakur. He says, Sadashiv Kaviraj, who is the father, and Nagara Purushottam, that's Purushottam Das Thakur, who were father and son, are described in the Chaitanya Bhagavat as Mahabhagyavan. Bhagyavan means most fortunate, and Mahabhagyavan means most fortunate. Greatly fortunate. They belong to the Vaidya caste of physicians. The Gaura Ganodesha Dipika, verse 156, says that Chandravali, a most beloved gopi of Krishna, later took birth as Sadashiv Kaviraj, who was a great devotee of Lord Sri Gauranga Mahaprabhu. Purushottam Das Thakur sometimes lived in a place called Sukh Sagar, near Chakadaha and Simaridi railway stations. All the deities installed by Purushottam Das Thakur were formerly situated in a place called Belidangram. But when the temple was destroyed, the deities were brought to Sukhagar. When the temple merged into the bed of the Ganga, even that temple merged into the bed of the Ganga, the deities were brought to Janava Mata's deity, and with Janava Mata's deity, to a place called Sahib Sangha, Badigrama. Since that place also has been destroyed, all the deities are now situated in the village named Chandudigrama, which is situated 1 mile up from Palapada as referenced to above. So I thought we should mention that because it is said that when there is a disappearance festival, then we should dedicate our lives to that person's instructions and mood like that, mood and instructions like that. So, Srila Purushottam Das Thakur ki jai. His mood was very much to always carry Lord Nityananda in his heart. He was, like we said, one of the 12 Gopalas of Lord Nityananda, who assisted him in his pastimes in this world when Lord Nityananda was present. And as we know, we all go through many situations in our lives where often we question our own Krishna consciousness, whether I'm truly Krishna conscious, whether I'm truly making any progress. And which is good, actually. We should question ourselves, but not to the extent that we become discouraged. Not like that. But we do something that is even more discouraging, and that is we sometimes think of other devotees in less than favorable terms. If we think of any devotee in less than favorable terms, according to Srila Prabhupada, it destroys our Krishna consciousness. So, both discouraging ourselves and destroying our Krishna consciousness can be avoided and protected when we always stay in the mood of serving at the lotus feet of Lord Nityananda. So Lord Nityananda, his major service is Sankirtan. He loves doing Sankirtan. He would go house to house, and when the person would open the door, they couldn't see him because he was laying on the ground with straw between his teeth. And so the person would see that this is a great person. He's like, so he'd come and pick him up like this, and then he would beg that person, please chant the name of Krishna once. Lord Nityananda's own mantra, Maha Mantra, was Krishna Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Krishna Krishna. That's how he would chant himself. It is described in the Chaitanya Bhagavat that Lord Krishna lives inside Lord Nityananda's body. And we can also understand that from the point of view that Lord Nityananda is Balaram himself. And Lord Balaram is who manifested Vrindavan. The place Vrindavan is a manifestation of Lord Balaram. So Krishna stays in Vrindavan, right? Like I was just reading this morning that Prabhupada was saying that a pure devotee of Krishna, a pure devotee who is most advanced and first class, always thinks of Krishna in his original form in Vrindavan. So Lord Chaitanya himself says something about this. And Lord Chaitanya says that when I chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, I only think of Krishna with two names. Only two names of Krishna comes to me. The name Yashodanandana and the name Shyamasundar. So Yashodanandana, because these are the two most powerful personalities, by the way, in Vrindavan, Mother Yashoda and Radharani. And of the two, Mother Yashoda is considered senior. So when Krishna is performing his pastimes with Radharani, if somehow Mother Yashoda chances onto that scene, everything stops. Everybody runs to Mother Yashoda, touches her feet. Maya, Maya, so nice to see you. We're so happy. And everybody's just in total bliss like that. So Gauranga Mahaprabhu always remembers Krishna as the son of Mother Yashoda. And we're very fortunate in this temple because Mother Yashoda's favorite name for Krishna is Kalachandra. And the Brijabasis, they like to shorten names. So they shortened the name from Kalachandraji to Kalachandji. And that's who our deity is. So we're so very fortunate like that, that we're able to practice our Krishna consciousness in this amazing environment where the Lord Gauranga himself, it is described actually, there was a devotee who came to Dallas, and he is from the family, or very, very close to the family of the persons who craft deities. What are they called? Stapatis. Stapatis, they craft deities. So the Stapati family that crafted the deity of Kalachandji was telling him that Kalachandji is many thousands of years old from Vrindavan. And then, because the Mughals attacked Vrindavan, the devotees in what is the place where Lord Gopinath stays now? Lord Govinda? Jaipur. Yeah, the devotees from Jaipur, they came and took the deities to Jaipur. Some of the deities to Jaipur. And the king of Jaipur took Kalachandji to Jaipur. Prior to that, he was buried underground to protect him from the Mughals. And he unearthed him because the deity of Kalachandji he was describing was the deity that the Brijabasis would pray to for opulence, so that they could serve Krishna better, like that. So he's the deity of opulence, is described by this person. And he said when he's brought to Jaipur, when Lord Chaitanya came through Jaipur, he danced in front of Kalachandji. So we were so happy to hear that, that this is how amazing our deity is. We're so very fortunate. And then Shyama Sundar, of course, because that's Radharani's favorite name for Krishna, right? Shyam. She calls him Shyama. And so thinking about Krishna always in Vrindavan, in his original form as Shyama Sundar, in his original form as Krishna, like that. And Prabhupada describes his first name is Govinda. And what can I say? Govindaji is also here. So, if you think about it, we're like in the most fortunate place in creation. We're sitting just in the right spot at the right time because this world is going through so much upheaval. And in this upheaval, they say the best fishermen fish in troubled waters. Like that. I'm sorry I'm using that example. But the point is that in the worst of times come the best of times. Because the worst of times materially is the best of times spiritually. So we're very fortunate that today we can dedicate our lives to Srila Purushottam Das Thakur's life and mood and instructions, like that. His life and instructions, his mood. Very playful mood. And so we should be like that. We should be lighthearted in Dallas. Don't be too heavy on people and heavy on yourself. Don't be a little lighthearted. Kalachandji is here. Radharani is holding a hand out, say, don't worry, I'm here. There's nothing to worry about. Both have been so nicely complimented. Radhanath Maharaj once said in a class here, I've been to many temples around the world. Many temples in India and around the world, but there is no Radharani more beautiful than the Radharani in Dallas. And Jayapataka Maharaj said that Kalachandji has such a presence that you can't ignore him. When you come in this temple, Kalchanji's presence is so powerful. He said, this is what he said, there is no deity anywhere that is more powerful than Kalachanji in terms of showing presence. And the other day when Dinabandhu Prabhu was speaking here, he made a very nice comment, amazing comment. I was just floored. By the way, I was floored by that class. That was the class that he gave on Sunday morning. Yeah. So he was saying that when they dress Krishna in Vrindavan, they can't just surpass the dressing of Radharani. Radharani always comes out as like the one who's better dressed, who's very, very attractive. And he said, and in Dallas, he said, no matter what you do, but Kalchanji comes out like amazingly dressed. And he said, so the Radharani of Vrindavan is complemented by the Kalchanji of Dallas. That's what he said. I mean, when you hear statements like this, you have to know we are in the spiritual world. This is the Dharma. How many devotees have come before us? Many senior devotees, including Srila Prabhupada, Satsarup Maharaj, Krishna Maharaj, whom I personally heard from, these persons heard from. They have said that this is a petal of Vrindavan. Dallas temple is a petal of Vrindavan that sprung up in Dallas. And so we're very fortunate we're right in Vrindavan sitting here with all these wonderful pastimes, windows to the spiritual world. How can you not be happy? How can you not be lighthearted? Now, on the other hand, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur was quite a heavy personality. But he was heavy because he wanted us to become nice devotees, like that. So, as we know, I'm going to start from sort of like the back to front, like that. But I'm going to speak about the 3 final instructions of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. It is said on the day of the appearance, the mood is of being so happy to have had the blessings of an amazing spiritual master who we say represents Vyasadeva, right? So it is Vyasa Puja. So today is the mood of celebration and happiness. It's a very light mood, very happy mood. That's why we do Pushpanjali on this day. And we shower petals upon the Acharya. And then we're so very happy that we were able to come in the line of the Acharya and get the blessings of the Acharya. For us, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur is our great-grandfather. For Chakri Prabhu, his grandfather. But for the rest of us here, like that, we're his great-grandchildren, right? So, most of us don't experience a great-grandfather in our lives. Some of us are fortunate to have grandfathers in our lives. But great-grandfather is just, it's out of the world. Grandparents are great, right? Grandchildren love grandparents. No rules, no regulations. Eat as much candy as you like. Spoil them rotten. And the parents sometimes have to keep them away from the grandparents because training the children is so difficult in the presence of the grandparents, like that. The great-grandparent is actually amazing. So for us, we're very fortunate to have him. So his first of the 3 instructions was, just be a speck of dust in the hand of the spiritual master. Don't try to be some great person. Don't try to project your ego, I'm somebody, I should be recognized, like that. You don't have to worry. In the hands of the spiritual master, there is only one place you're going to go, and that is Goloka Vrindavan. There is nowhere else you're going to go, because that hand is actually the hand of Krishna himself, coming to hold us and take us back to Godhead. So just be a speck of dust. Dust is not considered very glorified, right? I mean, I don't think anybody in this world ever thinks of dust in the day, I wonder what the dust on the ground is like. Except, of course, those who make vacuum machines, but they must be thinking about dust all day long because they're trying to see how they can collect all that dust. Or those of us who like to go to Vrindavan and roll in the dust of Vrindavan, like that, right? Other than that, not. But actually, the dust in the spiritual world is amazing. The dust in the spiritual world has the form of a human being. And they're known as saffron particles. And when Krishna walks, these saffron particles float into the air And if they would happen to go to the Ganga, reach the Ganga, the Yamuna would become stunned. It would stop flowing. Just because a dust from the lotus feet of Krishna came to Yamuna. Because the dust smells so nice, and this dust, they know so much. They sing kirtan so nicely. When Krishna goes to tend the cows in Vrindavan, in the forest, there's so much dust that's created, right? Sometimes his face is covered with dust. And the gopis know that that's Krishna because of his smile. His smile is very, very contagious. But this is the dust. We have to be just like a speck of dust in the hand of the spiritual master. And his second instruction was, be very attached to chanting the holy name and hearing about Krishna. Krishna Nama and Krishna Katha. Be very attached. Always chant Hare Krishna. Always hear about Krishna. And Prabhupada is very kind. He told us hearing about Krishna means hearing about his devotees as well. If you're hearing about devotee, you're hearing about Krishna. Why? Because the devotee is part and parcel of Krishna. Krishna considers the devotee his part and parcel. So Prabhupada actually even says in the 4th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam that hearing about the devotee is equally as important as hearing about Krishna. So glorifying devotees is very important because glorification means love. Prabhupada describes the word love to mean glorification. So we should always be glorifying devotees. The more we glorify devotees, the more we attract the attention of Krishna. If we're always glorifying devotees, what happens? The community becomes a great community, right? Everybody wants to join that community. People find out, wow, they're so nice in that community. They're always smiling. They're always welcoming us. They're always, giving us such nice arrangements, receiving us nicely, giving us nice prasadam, doing nice kirtan, keeping the place clean, having jewel-like devotees on the altar. I mean, you look at the devotees and the deities on the altar, they're like a huge jewel that's appeared in Dallas, Huge jewel. So bright and amazingly beautiful, different colors, and, the rays going out everywhere. It just gladdens the heart like that. So this was his second instruction. Just like Prabhupada's final instruction was, if you want to show your love to me, then cooperate with one another. Do things in a cooperative mode. And then his final instruction was, I would never have thought this would be an instruction, but it was. And it tells us how important this instruction is. His third and final instruction was, do not fight. Do not quarrel amongst one another. It'll spoil everything. Just like Krishna loves hearing the glories of the devotees, he hates quarreling amongst devotees. Even his own family, because they were quarreling, what happened? He destroyed the family. The other family was destroyed. Krishna personally arranged the destruction. He gave them the intelligence to go and insult a devotee. And then the devotee curses them. And the next thing that happens, Yadava dynasty, finished. Yadava dynasty. This is Krishna's own dynasty. So we should be very, very careful that we don't do these things. And so this is Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati's instruction. And then he said something in a letter, and I wanted to read that letter today, because it tells us what is our most important service. We're servants. Service is actually our constitutional position. That's our constitutional position. So this is a letter that he wrote. He says, this is what he wrote in the letter. He said, preach all over the world the teachings of Sri Rupa and Sri Raghunath with all your might. All over the world. Now, at one time in ISKCON, devotees would travel a lot. They hardly stayed at any temple. There'd be great turnovers at the temples, Nowadays, a lot of people just stay at one temple, which is also good. But the idea is when you can, you should travel and preach. Even amongst Westerners, even amongst materialists, it is said that when you travel, you're considered like some expert. In your own place, you're not considered expert. In your own place, people will find faults in you. But when you travel to another city, they all think you're a great devotee. They'll ask you to give class. They'll welcome you. They'll say nice things about you. And of course, we're in Narad Muni's line, right? Narad Muni was cursed. He cannot stay in one place more than 3 days. So look how he starts the letter. It says, preach all over the world. Our highest ambition in life is to turn ourselves into the dust of their feet. The dust of the feet of the lotus feet of the spiritual master of the Acharya. And by the way, I wanted to start something, I forgot to say it, but today's class was supposed to be given by Rupanuga Prabhu. So he's not doing too well, so we all pray that he gets well soon. So taking the dust from his lotus feet, I am the substitute. I beg his mercy so that I can speak. And I already spoke a lot without begging that mercy. But I begged it mentally when I wanted to say it aloud. Ever remain united in order to satisfy the transcendental senses of the one absolute consciousness, Krishna. Ever remain united. Under the guidance of his eternally correlated aspect. Now this is Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. His language is so high-flown English that even the British had to decode his language to figure out what he was saying. They had to take a dictionary and figure out what he's saying, you know. Because his English was just so amazing. But he does describe it himself. Who is Krishna's eternally correlated aspect? He said, his absolute subservient self, Sri Guru Deva. Absolute subservient self is the spiritual master, who is our spiritual master. So, under the guidance of that spiritual master, we remain united and satisfy, in order to satisfy the transcendental senses. It doesn't say just the senses, the transcendental senses of Krishna. What pleases him the most. Somehow manage to eke out your existence in this transitory world for the sole purpose of serving Godhead. Somehow get that out of you, eke that out of you. You know, like they say, pulling teeth sometimes. You've got to eke it out of yourself. Get it out of yourself that this is a transitory world. This is a place, a correctional facility called Durga. But the only purpose we here, the sole purpose we here, is to serve Krishna and Radharani, Radha Kalachandji, like that. Gaur Nitai, Jagannath, Baldev, Subhadra, Lord Nrsimhadev, Ananta Sesha, like that. Never give it up. Even if hundreds of dangers, insults, and abuses come. Because these are going to happen to us. Dangers are going to stalk us. We will be insulted, and abuses will come. But never give up. Even if hundreds of them come. Nor be discouraged if the majority of the people in this world do not accept your words to serve Krishna sincerely. Even if they do that, don't become discouraged. Renounce everything in life to serve Krishna, to sing about Him, and to listen to talks about Him. Sing ever His name, being humble as grass and patient like a tree. So this is our Siddha Pranali. Trinadapi Shunichena, Tarorpi Sahishnana, Amanena Manidena, Kirtanaya Sadhari. What does Siddha Pranali mean? Siddha Pranali means that which will reveal our original form in Goloka Vrindavan. That's called the Siddha Pranali. This is what will reveal our original form. Because we're not capable of being Babajis like Bhakti Sidhhanta Saraswati Thakur and the previous acharyas. They were given the name, who you are in the spiritual world. And they were asked, please practice being that person here. And Bhakti Sidhhanta Saraswati Thakur, he felt that this wasn't working. The system wasn't working. People were being sahajyas. They were thinking themselves someone who they were not. And they were trying to imitate, not emulate. So he changed the system to Harinam Diksha. And he changed the Siddha Pranali to Trinadapi Sunichara Tarora Eva Sahishnama. So this is what he's saying here. He says, I pray to offer this useless body of mine in the sacrifice of united singing of Sri Krishna's name. We might remember that Srila Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj, a very, very, very humble person, said that when I die, I'd like you to take my body, tie rope to my feet, and drag my body all over Vrindavan. So when he left The devotees at the time decided to do that. And Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur stopped them and said, no way, you're not going to do that. This is a spiritual body. You don't do that to a spiritual body. That was his humility that he said that. But he himself felt like that. He himself felt like that. When he went to take initiation from his spiritual master put his hand out and said, please pass stool in my hand. You know? And obviously Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati is not going to do that. So Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati said, if you don't initiate me, then I'm going to jump into the Ganga and give up my life. Because this body is worth absolutely nothing if it is not your disciple. This is how important it is to honor the spiritual master and understand the position of the spiritual master. He is Krishna's hand coming to hold us and take us back to Godhead. He says after he's saying, I pray to offer this useless body of mine in the sacrifice of united singing of Krishna's name. He says, that is my only wish. That is my only wish. Can we make that our only wish? To always be in the association of devotees and to glorify Krishna, to glorify the devotees by chanting the holy names, by hearing classes on devotees and hearing classes on Krishna, in the association of devotees, because that's how Krishna comes through. He says that. I'm not anywhere except where my devotees are chanting my glories in unison, together. We do not desire heroic success in great deeds. Now this is what the world chases all the time. Everybody wants to be a hero and do some great deeds for which I will be known and I'll be remembered. By the way, no one's going to remember anybody for very long. You know? You look at some of the greatest people, like one of the greatest persons who walked this planet name was Napoleon, right? Napoleon, what is his name? Bonaparte. How many people remember Napoleon today? Hardly anybody remembers Napoleon. It's only because of the books of history that his name is repeated and people remember. If you take the books of history out, he's gone. You know? And he was a great person. He was an amazing person. People actually take his instructions today as like words from God or something. You know? Nobody's going to be remembered for anything. He says, nor wish to acquire immense piety in life. But this is the other thing people like to chase in this world. Piety. Why? Because piety gives fruits of enjoyment. And everybody wants to enjoy. Right? Everything is enjoy, enjoy, enjoy. I remember one time, Coca-Cola is one of the best companies in the world when it comes to advertising. Very smart company. And I remember one time, their motto was, enjoy. That was all it was. Enjoy. Their sales were so big that if you take the gross national product of New Zealand and Malaysia together, it's still smaller than Coca-Cola. I mean, talk about a company making. Of course, this is no longer now. Now there are other companies that are even bigger, right? But my point is, how enjoy in this world is such a very powerful word, right? Have fun, enjoy, you know. Eat, drink and be merry. And he said, that is not my wish. We want Krishna to enjoy. We want to enjoy, do things in such a way that Krishna's senses will enjoy. He is Rishikesha. He says, our very self consists in the dust of the feet of Sri Rupa Goswami Prabhu, my master. This is another very important thing. Rupa Goswami is Rupa Manjari from the spiritual world, the best amongst the Manjaris, the topmost amongst the Manjaris. Very fortunately, she decided to come when Lord Gauranga came and became our most important Acharya in our movement. Therefore, we're known as Rupanugas. We're also known as Prabhupadanugas, but we're also known as Rupanugas. So hearing about Rupa Goswami, in one of the books that he wrote, which is like a very, very important set of texts, is the Nectar of Instruction. Nectar of Instruction also comes from him. It's mainly his instructions that are forming the Nectar of Instruction. And that is the Guru training manual of our movement. We learn the verses of the Nectar of Instruction and take it to heart. It has everything in it, all the way from you're nobody as a devotee to you know who you are in the spiritual world. I mean, imagine that you come to know who you are by following the 9 instructions he gives on how to go from Shavana to all the way to Sampatti. It's just amazing who Rupa Manjari is. And she was very fortunate. She came. We are very fortunate she came and gave us instructions how to be truly Krishna conscious. Here, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur says, our very self consists in the dust of the feet of Sri Rupa Goswami. Prabhu, my master. He is the be-all and end-all of our life. He is the be-all and end-all of our life. The spiritual line of Sri Bhaktivinoda Thakur will never close. Now, this is a very important instruction we should know. Nothing stops Krishna consciousness. Nothing. Krishna consciousness is Krishna himself. And Krishna cannot be stopped. He cannot be checked. So there's nothing for us to worry about, right? If Krishna cannot be checked, and we're sitting as a dust in the lotus feet of Krishna's hand in the form of the spiritual master, how are we going to be checked? We're not going to be checked, no matter what happens. The other day I was listening to Srila Gurudev speaking from Bhagavatam, and he's quoting Prabhupada. He's reading the purport. In the purport, Prabhupada is saying that our most important service is to preach. If we preach, then Krishna will become most happy, happiest. And Krishna says that in Bhagavad Gita, right? That one who preaches this science is most dear to me, and never there will be any person more dear than he. But then Prabhupada says something I thought was a killer statement. I mean, I was so encouraged when I heard that statement. He said, even if the devotee is not doing well. How are we as devotees not doing well? We're probably not chanting properly, right? We're probably not following the regulated principles properly. We're probably not accepting the mood and instructions of the Acharya properly, right? We have so many weaknesses, correct? That's why we sometimes think we're imposters. Externally, I'm showing myself as a devotee. Internally, I'm thinking, I'm not a devotee. I'm not a devotee. I'm just putting out a front that I'm a devotee. But actually, internally, I know I have so many faults. I make so many mistakes. I was reading this morning, and Prabhupada says, it's okay, devotees make mistakes. That's all right. Don't get all caught up in your mistakes. We make mistakes. But the fact that Krishna consciousness cannot be stopped, Krishna cannot be stopped, and we are Krishna's servants many times removed, right? Gopir bhartu padakamalayur, dasa dasuna dasa, right? Then we have nothing to worry about on that side. What we have something to worry about on our side is, am I serving Krishna and his devotees nicely? Am I truly pleasing the senses of Krishna and his devotees? Am I doing that? So you worry about that part. Just worry about your service. Don't worry about everything else. Like some of us, we go through insomnia from time to time, right? Anybody have not gone through insomnia? No, never gone through insomnia, right? Okay. Everybody who's gone through insomnia is very fortunate. I'm sorry, I'm not saying you're unfortunate, but you will have that fortune too one day. It's not a blessing, by the way, it's not a curse, it's a fact. What insomnia is, by the way, in essence, just so you know this, because most people don't understand insomnia. In the devotees' case, I'm talking about devotees, okay? I'm not talking about referencing any other system, and so please don't quote medical texts to me and everything else. We're not talking about general people in general. I'm talking about devotees. What insomnia is the brain likes to enjoy. Brain loves enjoyment. There's nothing more powerful than enjoyment for the brain. So when the brain sees you're enjoying Krishna consciousness, it doesn't want to stop, so it won't let you sleep. Because it wants to continue enjoying that Krishna consciousness. So in some ways, Krishna consciousness can be a bit of an issue as well. When you become Krishna conscious, there are times you're not going to be able to sleep well at night. It sort of drives you crazy, right, when you can't sleep. Why can't I sleep? What am I worrying about? It's like you get worries and you think, why am I worrying? There's nothing to worry about. The body heats up. All these things happen in insomnia, right? But actually what it is, and so the antidote to that is that in the night, do your most Krishna conscious things in the night, like chanting nicely or something like that. And the brain feels, I've had enough enjoyment, let you sleep. Prabhupada did not sleep for 1.5 to 2 hours, more than 1.5 to 2 years. Because his brain was enjoying so much the Krishna consciousness. He didn't feel like he didn't have enough sleep. You know what I'm saying? So this is Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, that the line of Bhaktivinoda Thakur will never close. You shall, with greater energy, devote yourself to preach the desires of the soul. That's what the soul wants. The soul wants to talk about Krishna. Why? Because the soul is the beloved of Krishna. The soul loves Krishna. Romeo likes to talk about Juliet, and Juliet likes to talk about Romeo. Krishna likes to talk about his devotee, and his devotee likes to talk about Krishna and the other devotees. This is love. So that's what the soul wants. But the ego doesn't want that. The false ego doesn't. False ego wants to serve the body, the mind, the intelligence, and itself. Right? So it's a tussle between the soul and the body. But the one time the body falls into the trap is when it starts enjoying the Krishna consciousness of the soul. Then it finds, wow, this is really tasty prasadam. I've had prasadam before, but nothing tastes like Krishna conscious prasadam. That's why Prabhupada said there are 2 bullets, Krishna conscious prasadam and kirtan. These are our 2 bullets. We can defeat Maya with these 2 bullets. So here he's saying that so very nicely. The energy of the devotee increases. Actually, when you get older, you'll see this, because some of us are getting older now. We're getting more energized. I've never been as energized as I am now in my life. I feel very energized because we're doing things that are for Krishna's pleasure, following the instruction of spiritual master. Doing the right things like appointing a great devotee, a younger devotee as the temple president. This is the right way to do things. The younger ones need to administrate. The older ones need to go out and preach. Meet people. People are hungry for Krishna consciousness. They're so hungry, they're literally dying of starvation. This is how great the opportunity is right now to preach. And everybody's listening. The Christians are listening, the atheists are listening, the Jews are listening, the Hindus are listening, the Buddhists are listening. Everybody's listening to Krishna consciousness now. There's this wonderful devotee, Mataji, and she was describing the story. So she went to a convent to study. So in the convent, she wanted to know where the nuns stayed, what it looked like. So she asked the nuns, can I come and look at where you stay in the night, right? Like that. And the nuns let her in, and she saw the place. It was so neat, so tidy, it was so beautiful. She said, can I also see the place where the brothers live? Because in Catholicism, the men are known as brothers, right? Brothers, so and so on. Here they're known as nuns and brothers. And she said, no, you can't go to where the brothers. Why? No, because you're not allowed. Women are not allowed in where the brothers stay. But there is one time, because she kept insisting this, okay, there's one time you can go. When they're all out, we'll let you in and have a look at the place. So that it happened, an occasion happened, and they all left for some program. So the nun said, this is your opportunity. You want to see where the brothers stay? She said, yes. And they went in. And in the hallway and in the rooms of the brothers, there were paintings of Krishna and Radharani, deities of Radha and Krishna and Gaur-Nitai, like filling the halls and the rooms. So she said, how is this? You're Catholics. Why? And he says, the brothers know that Srila Prabhupada's writings are the best. They're reading his writings. And they're emulating him in privacy. Externally, they were talking about Christianity because they didn't want in any way that Christianity should be seen as in any way less than Krishna. And it is not. In that same purport that Gurudev was reading, Prabhupada actually says when you preach, you should preach to your friends and enemies alike. Honor everybody when you preach. So if you go to a Christian person, honor Christianity. You speak to an Islamic, a Muslim person, honor Muslim religion. Honor it. Even honor the atheist. Oh, you're very good. You have such good moral standards. This, that, and the other, right? They're going to open their ears for you. Now you're going to put something there. If their ears are closed, what's the point of speaking to them, right? You may as well talk to the wall. Actually, talking to the wall is sometimes better. At least you hearing it. It bounces back and you hear yourself. You need to hear yourself, right? We need to hear ourselves. Then he says, there are many men among you who are competent to do that with ability. By the way, I have not met a devotee up till now who is not competent. But I have met devotees who won't do it. They won't go out and preach. But each and every one of the devotees is very competent. And for competency, all you need to know is Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Prabhupada proved it. At one time, there was a huge lecture going on. His disciples, some of them with dandas sitting in front of him. And then he says, Saraswati, stand up. And she's a little girl, 5-year-old girl. She stood up and she said, Saraswati, who is Krishna? And Saraswati said, Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Prabhupada said, she's the best preacher. All we have to do is repeat that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, because the soul is going to wake up. The soul knows Krishna. Soul already knows Krishna. No matter what, even if the soul in a bug on this floor, that soul knows Krishna. And when you talk about Krishna and you mention Krishna's name, the soul wakes up. Oh, finally, I'm going to be able to get up now. My captors, the mind, the body, intelligence, false ego, kept the soul in captivity, right? Now I'm going to be released from my captivity. And you know, if you've ever been captive, you should try and get captive once in a life. You'll know how bad it is to be captive. You know? My brother-in-law's father one time got captured in India by some people. And he refused to chant Hare Krishna when we were telling him, please chant Hare Krishna. No, it's Hare Krishna. Then he got captured. He was going in his Mercedes-Benz. So some guys captured him, took his Mercedes-Benz, and then asked for a huge ransom, right? And nobody knew where he was. So then what happened one day, they'd asked the police to find him. So the sheriff in one of the villages in India figured out that there was somebody being held captive. So he went to the house. Lo and behold, it was my brother-in-law's father. He was under a huge blanket, and he wasn't allowed to come out of the blanket, and food was given underneath the blanket. That's how he's kept while he was in captivity. So when they saw him, he was chanting, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So when he came home, we asked him, how come? He's chanting Hare Krishna. He said, you know, they put me underneath the blanket and they kept beating me with a stick. I was thinking, when can I get out of here? When can I get out of here? When can I get out of here? Then I thought, if I chant Hare Krishna, maybe I'll get out of here. And he chanted Hare Krishna. And he got out of there. And since then, he's been chanting Hare Krishna. So sometimes that's what it takes, you know, to learn this. But we're all very competent to preach. We have no other object in life, he says. There is no other object than to preach Krishna consciousness in life. Our only words are, he says, these are our only words if we speak. Holding a blade of grass with my teeth, I repeatedly pray, may God make me the dust of the feet of Sri Rupa Manjari in my every birth here below. Below from Goloka Vrindavan. In my every birth. Sri Rupa. The temple president's name. Prabhupada said the temple president represents Krishna and the deities and represents Prabhupada. When you honor the temple president, you're honoring them all. Let Sri Rupa's line of thought ever flow on earth. Let us never turn away from the united singing of the seven-tongued name of Sri Krishna. Why it says seven-tongued? Remember that verse we have? Cheto darpanam marjanam bhavamahadavagni nirvapanam Shri Kirva Chandrika vitaranam vidyavadu jivanam anandam buddhivadanam pratipadam pranamita swadnam sarvatma snapanam param jete Shri Krishna sanketanam. In that verse, there are said to be 7 flames. 7 benefits of chanting Hare Krishna. These benefits are considered of the greatest value in life. They are the massive value in life. So he's calling it seven-tongued here. These are the 7 tongues of the holy name. The 7 blessings you're going to get. Amazing blessings. If we can wholeheartedly be attached to it, wholeheartedly be attached to it, with increasing aptitude, learning more about the holy name, become even more attached. Every desire of our soul must be fulfilled. You know, the word must is hardly ever used by anybody. Because must means it has to happen, right? Well, who are you to say it must happen? Only Krishna can say must, nobody else, but he is a devotee saying must. But there's so much confidence in the holy name. With unflinching, complete submission, deserving the wholehearted followers of Sri Rupa, let you all preach the word of Sri Rupa and Raghunatha with the greatest energy and without fear. And that's how he ends the letter. Stops the letter at that point. This word complete, you know, we've started a school now, and so we teach people. One of our words that we put up there is complete. And it's an acronym. It means a culture of making progress lovingly, empowering to enliven. Complete. But we are a culture of making progress. Don't worry about success. Success will automatically come as you progress. Success is part of progress. So keep making progress. That's the idea. Keep progressing. And Lord Chaitanya says, if you make progress like that, then I will cover the difference between your progress and 100%, which Lord Krishna wants, right? Sarva dharman parityajya mam ekam sharanam vraja. So it's like 100% pure Krishna consciousness. And here we are hardly at 1 and 2% and 3%. Right? So Lord Chaitanya says, I'll fill the gap. I'll complete it for you. If we are making progress, that's all. So keep making progress. Progress is not a daily thing, by the way. Daily is too stressful. Progress is over 5 years. If you can look back 5 years and say to yourself, am I doing now better than I did in 5 years prior? Go back to the 5th year. Like, for example, this is 2024. Look back at 2019 and ask yourself, am I doing better now than I was doing in 2019? If you are, you're making progress. Because we are very slow. We're very dense. We're very thick-skulled. We don't learn very quickly. We don't hear well. Krishna is okay with that. Krishna is very happy with our being patient. And in fact, he says, enthusiasm, determination, and then patience, right? Utsaha, nischayat, dhairyat. That's the hardest part. We are not patient people. Everything has to happen yesterday. Right? Everything should have happened yesterday. But we have to have patience. Because in that patience, what will happen is we'll have humility. And when we have humility, then we'll have blessings. And when we have blessings, we'll make progress. Everything will come one after the other. Srila Bhakti Sidhhanta Saraswati Goswami Thakur ki jai. Srila Bhakti Sidhhanta Saraswati Thakur's Vyasa Puja Mahatsava ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Shri Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Any quick questions or any comments? Anybody like to make corrections? Please don't be shy. That was a lot in just one letter.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, thank
Hare
you very
Krishna.
much for giving such a nice class.
Thank you.
My question is, like, when we talk about Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, in one of the incident that you mentioned about Gaur Kishore Das Babaji,
Yes.
that other devotees were saying that, okay, because of the Gaur Kishore Das Babaji's desire that he should be dragged. So how can we understand? I mean, because Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur was very intelligent enough to understand the things. The word is different, but he understood it very nicely.
Absolutely.
So how one can understand?
We understand
the
that
spiritual
by
masters?
the various stages of a devotee. You know, the devotee is described at the fourth class devotee is described as a person who doesn't follow the instruction of the spiritual master, right? Then the third class devotee is one who does sometimes follow the spiritual master's instructions. And the second class devotee is the one who always follows the spiritual master's instruction, right? And the first class devotee is one who understands the mood of the spiritual master and adjusts the instruction based on the mood and carries out that instruction based on his mood, right? Who understands the spirit of the instruction. That is the first class devotee, right? So the spirit of that instruction was that we should be very humble, that we should consider ourselves as lower than the straw in the street. How do you go lower than the straw in the street? If you go and you drag your body all over, some of your body is going to go below the straw in the street, right? So you're lower than the straw. But this is teaching us, Trinadapi Sunichana Tarori Viseshana, right? That's what it's teaching us. That is what he was teaching. So Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati immediately caught that was he was teaching us. Whereas others thought it on a physical level. Oh, literally you have to take the body and drag it like that, right? That's a literal meaning. But the literal meaning is not the as it is meaning. The as it is meaning is the meaning that the Lord wants us to pull from something, right? It's called Parokshavad. When we read scripture, all scripture is written in a language called Parokshavad. Parokshavad means that the Lord is saying something to you personally based on your nature. So if you read Bhagavad Gita, 100 people can get 100 interpretations from the same Bhagavad Gita. Because the Lord is speaking to them like that, right? So they're understanding it like that. So Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur was so much understanding the spirit of his spiritual master's instructions, and we can see that in how he carried it out, right? That he was best able to understand the spirit of that instruction. So this is why, before we make any decisions, generally we should put our heads together and then see what comes up in a collective. Because generally a collective will come up with the right answer, but individually they won't. But collectively they will. Now they may not also collectively come up with the right answer because somehow Krishna's voice didn't come through in the collective. But if you want to hedge your bets, the best way to do it is in a collective.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah,
Thank you so much for the very nice class in Chandrapur.
Thank you.
I was, at one point you were speaking about the lecture you were listening to Tamal Krishna Maharaj and how in the purport, Srila Prabhupada was saying even if they don't do it properly or
they're
even
not doing well. They're not doing
even
well.
if they're not doing well, and I was really appreciating that because, speaking for myself, I know I have my struggles and difficulties, and so it was very encouraging. And it reminded me of Arjun Prabhu, the Mother Vrindavan Bihari is his wife.
Yes.
Prabhupada disciple, lived here for many years.
Yeah.
He was in Hawaii actually with Srila Prabhupada,
Right.
and he asked Srila Prabhupada a question about, what happens if your disciple stops following the principles or chanting? And Srila Prabhupada said, well, then he's no longer my disciple.
Wow.
And so then there was some silence for some time. And then Arjun Prabhu asked, what happens if they start following again? And then Prabhupada said, then they're my disciple again. It was just such a merciful, wonderful mood of, we're in the material world, we're conditioned, we'll make mistakes, things will happen.
Yeah.
But, it's so encouraging, just sincerely keep trying, do our best.
Right. Stay connected. That's love. Like love means choice. Choice means to do the right thing or the wrong thing, right? So love means when you connect, you're in love, you're connected. When you're not in love, you're not connected. I remember when I first became a devotee, I was thrust into like a leadership position very quickly. And so the Temple President wanted to train me, to understand how ISKCON works, right? Because the outside world management system doesn't work inside ISKCON. ISKCON has the best managers because it's the most difficult to manage inside ISKCON, right? Gurudev once told me, if you want to make progress in Krishna consciousness, the fastest way to make it is to become a manager in ISKCON. Because the devotees will really train you up nicely, how to be a good manager. So we were having what was called coriander tea. They make tea from coriander, right? And so we were having coriander tea and the cup was sitting on the saucer. The British system is cup and saucer, right? And so he took the cup and he put it out of the saucer and he put it on the ground, you know. And generally you don't do that. You always leave the cup in the saucer. So I was thinking, why is he doing that? That's wrong, you know. Then this is something he said to me, and that made a huge impact on my life. He said, even if a devotee does this much service, he said, I will appreciate it. I'll appreciate it. Now, the service that it did was not perfect. It was imperfect. You don't take a saucer and put it on the ground. There's a reason. Because in India, when they drink hot tea, right, some hot beverage, they put it in the saucer and they blow on the saucer and then they sip. So if you put the cup on the ground, you've dirtied the cup, right? Now you can't put it back on the saucer. And he took the cup off the saucer and put it on the ground and said to me that even if a devotee does this much service, so later on it occurred to me, many years later it occurred to me, that even if a devotee does service with fault, I will appreciate it. I mean, that's amazing, right? That's amazing. Krishna consciousness is the best. You really want to be happy and safe? Come inside Krishna consciousness. It's the only place where your faults will be tolerated. Everywhere else, they will put a big light on your fault, you know, and show the world how you're a faulty person. But in Krishna consciousness, they put a big light on everything you do that is serving and says, look, what a nice servant this person is. That's so nice, isn't it? This is Srila Prabhupada. So amazing. We're so fortunate. Anybody else? Any points? No? Thank you very much. Jai. All glories to the dust of the lotus feet of Srila Bhakti Sidhhanta Saraswati Thakur ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Vanchakalpaturvascha kripasindhubhyevacha. Patitanam pavanebhya. Vaishnavebhya namo namaha. Anantakoti Vaishnava Brindaki Jai.